Your feedback before I get to a couple more calls, 1300 736 736, just on the coaching setup. This was sent in to us digitally right across our social channels, emails this week. Absolutely and wholeheartedly agree. It's gone backwards massively here. It is too easy to be a coach. From national level to hot shots level, someone can just walk on court now and they're a coach. Not good for the sport. The world has changed, not always for the better. Back when the Bears were bad, not sure if you're referring to the Brisbane Bears, you had to do a players test, a ball feeding test before you even got to look at sitting your level course, JD course nowadays. It was very practical and court-based. Generally, it was undertaken by the tennis nuts of the world who did not make it, and there were plenty of us in their droves to take up the challenge. These days, with a dumbing down of everything, including that of just clapping hands, receiving a certificate of merit, a Facebook opportunity and advancement to the next level, our sport is rapidly becoming a basket case. The word coach can apply to a person who has never been in our sport 10 minutes, who has been in our sport 10 minutes. They all have a place and everyone must start somewhere, but often I am now seeing where these people are being promoted, empowered to basically run tennis clubs. They have little skills, but what they have obtained through glossy manuals, uploading a link here, there and everywhere, to almost the point where the parent is becoming the deliverer of tennis. When I first started, blue and red stage of our coaching pathway did not really exist, as every kid had skills developed in the school or backyard, and every kid could throw and catch with an average to high success rate. Nowadays, I find more than the norm. I have kids who are coming to my lessons to learn such skills they should have covered. So I guess, is that my job? Guess it kind of is, if I want to get to the next part. Or do I, what a lot of coaches do, and employ a kid to deliver that stuff? I can see both sides of the argument. Geez, I'm shocked not. Years ago, it was a requirement to not only play a minimum of Grade 2 pennant, but also to win a required number of matches to qualify to apply for the course. Then upon doing the course, to demonstrate a complete shot replica and then be able to teach the same. It was also a requirement to be able to feed the ball competently with a racket. Nowadays, the main requirement is to know how to place witches' hats and hula hoops onto the court and to hand feed. But then again, back to the days of my first point, tennis as a sport was flourishing. Clubs were vibrant. The club professional made the club what it was. Nowadays, with most coaching done by the 16, 17-year-old witches hat brigade, many participants drop out of the sport early and therefore clubs are in decline. Your feedback from the past week. Maybe it was the shift in priorities of Tennis Victoria years back to concentrate solely on clubs and in some ways completely ignore the role of the club professional at a club. Or maybe it wasn't, who knows? Lack of coaches at the moment. I know coaches that are short staff, more so now after COVID. Probably why there are a lot of coaches that don't have a great skill set. There is also a big problem with a lack of female coaches. I think if you had ATP ranking or an ITF ranking or say a top 100 in Australia, then you know how to play and have seen a lot of coaching to get to that level. There are crash courses now that allow people to coach kids who can't play and don't understand the technical side of the game. 90% of club coaching these days is for kids that have no realistic desire to play ATP. It is more about participation and having fun for an hour or so each week. This only requires the very basic level of coaching, and this level of coaching skill can be achieved in any of the weekend coaching courses on offer from Tennis Australia or the ATPCA, etc. Spot on. A lot of coaches out there who can barely hit the ball themselves. The comments about tennis becoming a bit too recreational at the end of this section is pretty spot on, I think. Need pathways from club coaching into club competition. The promising players find a way through that. Australian tennis courses do have too much theory more than practical. Some of the coaches are highly qualified but couldn't hit well. Must be balanced in theories and prac. Golf and swimming are sports that I might consider without opponents. They are more on timing or against the type of golf courses, whereas tennis is more complicated. You need to have strong strategies, mindset, new skills at all times, and so on. I'd have to say golf is far more complicated than tennis. Also, it is a very strict process of theory and playing performance to become a PGA pro. Perhaps tennis could follow suit. And the last bit of feedback I got Yes, I agree. There are so many tennis coaches who don't really understand the game, benchmarking, and competitiveness of the tennis world. We live in a fishbowl in Australia, and coaching accreditation is handed out far too easily. Unfortunately, is another corporate part of TA. One of the KPIs for the coach education arm of Tennis Australia is the number of applicants and coaches who receive qualifications. So that's the feedback that has come in to me. And as I've said before, I'm not at the coalface at club level, seeing what's going on day in, day out. I'm not inside the four walls of Tennis Australia and how they structure things and come up with their strategy and plan. But that is your feedback that you have sent in to us. 13